With me now is the former acting ICE director, Jonathan Fahey. So Hakeem Jeffries has weighed in now at yesterday's shooting at the Dallas ICE facility. Listen to what he said.
The level of political violence and ideologically motivated violence across the spectrum is far too high in the United States of America right now. We need leadership that brings people together, not national leadership that tears people apart.
We need leadership that brings people together, not national leadership that tears people apart. A Michael Jackson song comes to mind. I'm starting with the man in the mirror.
Yeah.
I'm asking him to change his ways.
Exactly. That's pretty stunning to hear that when his party has been repeatedly calling ICE agents the Nazis, the Gestapo, slave patrols. Routinely, it's almost like a Democrat-approved talking point at this point, and we just had a murder at the ICE facility, and it's like, if you're going to be a leader, which he presumably is, he's the House leader for the Democrats, why doesn't he ask his members to tone down their rhetoric? And the other thing is, the only person I can think of that's done that is John Fetterman. Everyone else seems perfectly fine with these types of things being said about ICE agents, and also the repeated lies that they know are putting them in greater danger.
And remember what Jeffrey said about taking the masks off of ICE agents, exposing their identity. I mean, he was making no apologies for that rhetoric.
Yeah, exactly. And why do they want to do that? Because they are basically suggesting these ICE agents are doing something wrong and they're illegitimate. So anything you do to them is therefore legitimate when you're fighting back against them. But the amazing thing is, the only ones following the law are the ICE agents and Donald Trump. That's their job, is to enforce the ICE laws to deport illegal immigrants. And these members of Congress, if they want open borders, if they want amnesty, which clearly they do, they should have the courage to stand up and put a bill in for it. And if they can't pass the bill, support our law enforcement.
And irony of ironies, the laws that ICE agents are enforcing are the ones that were passed across the street in the halls of Congress.
Exactly.
So you mentioned some of the rhetoric from Democrats. I think it also helps to listen to a little bit of that, just to remind folks at home what exactly has been said. Listen here.
Donald Trump's modern-day Gestapo is scooping folks up off the streets. They're in unmarked vans, wearing masks, being shipped off to foreign torture dungeons.
Secret police who are masked, who are intimidating, who are scaring people. These Gestapo-like tactics.
It does look like a Gestapo operation. It does look like the Gestapo.
When you hear rhetoric like that, is it any surprise that what happened yesterday happened?
No, and we've been talking about this for the better part of a year. Something really bad is going to happen because of this rhetoric. And the Tim Walz thing is, in so many ways, the worst one, because he's at a commencement speech for, I believe, a law school, which is supposed to be an uplifting event with prepared remarks that had the Gestapo in there. So that wasn't some slip of the tongue. These are standard talking points from the Democrats, and something like this was bound to happen, and something like this, even worse, is bound to happen if they don't tone it down. It's time to support law enforcement, support the community, and ICE is doing the work of the American people and what they're required to do, deporting illegal aliens, and particularly criminally illegal aliens.
One of the most outspoken cheerleaders against ICE has been the California governor. He was on the Colbert Show on Tuesday. Listen to part of what he said here.
People ask, well, is authoritarianism, you're being hyperbolic? Bull, we're being hyperbolic. If you're a black and brown community, it's here in this country. These are not just authoritarian tendencies. These are authoritarian actions by an authoritarian government.
Some 8 hours later, that shooting happened in Dallas. And the cruel irony is that the person who was killed was a detainee.
Yeah, exactly. And, Gavin Newsom just a couple days earlier was talking about his mask mandate, which is just another opportunity for him to defame ICE agents and to defame this administration, where they're saying they're going to require these federal officers to wear masks when he knows darn well that it's not even constitutional. So when he's talking about authoritarianism, well, the state governments don't get to tell the federal government what to do. So if you look at all of that.
Tell me what you told me just before we came on about if a local law enforcement officer were to try to enforce that law.
Yeah, that's the funny thing about it. If a local law enforcement officer tried to enforce that law, not only would the federal agent be immune from prosecution, but that state agent could be prosecuted for obstruction of justice. So ironically, he could get his own officers in federal prison if they try to enforce this law. It's totally insane, and he knows better, but for him, it's all about him.
It's all about politics.
Exactly.
Thank you, sir.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.